Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Brown Gen. Thank you for joining me tonight. Most of you are probably going to watch this after the fact, but I wanted to give you an update on my $20,000 bet on Mara stock or Marathon Digital Holdings. So, as a reminder, Mara is actually a Bitcoin mining company that I have strongly invested in. I put $20,000 in a couple weeks ago. And it's something that, not a new stock for me. I actually made a big fumble. I purchased it first back in 2020. I sold it for like a couple dollars a share, took a small loss, and then just sat back and watched it jump to like $90 a share at the peak of the Bitcoin bull run. And yeah, there were some times I was able to sort of swing a range and make some money, but like I'll be honest, buying it at $4, selling it for $3, taking a 25% loss on my position at the time, then watching it like over 20x in price, I felt like quite a fool. And back then, I didn't really know much about Marathon Digital Holdings, but now I do, and I'm way smarter around it. Hey, Starbuck, good to see you. I hope you're having a great night. So I bought 2,000 common shares of Mara at $8.21, maybe like 4 to 5 weeks ago. That was a total of $16,420. I also put $3,000 into 5 $10 option contracts expiring December 2025. They cost me around $600 per contract. So in total, like 19,420. I know you guys love the 420 number. But today we're sitting after hours with Mara at $16.79, right? So it had a pretty good run up after consolidating in the $8 to $10 range over the last couple of months. And with the big breakout in Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies, we're actually seeing that spike from all the way from $9. It almost broke through $20 last week. And it's sort of, or even like earlier, like this week, yeah. And now it's just been sort of coming down. Healthy retracement. That's sort of what we expect in the market. Things just don't go straight up, just like they just don't go straight down. You sort of see like liquidity zones being taken out. But this was obviously super, made me super happy. I'm not gonna lie. Like I find a few things to move me emotionally in the stock market, but I doubled my investment in like four to 5 weeks, and I'll be honest, took zero profit. I haven't sold a single one of those Mara 2,000 shares. I didn't sell any of those option contracts. And the reason I haven't is because I believe that this is nothing in comparison to the bigger move we're going to see in Mara. So if I go out on this time frame and sort of go back all the way to the heyday of Bitcoin, you can see up here, it says $84, but we were around like 90 at the highest point. It wasn't a close, but when Bitcoin was around 69,000 US dollars, it corresponded to like around $90 value of Mara. And we're sitting here at a value of $16, right? So like just imagine that potential. And while I say all this, one thing I do want to highlight is, hey guys, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Press the thumbs up button or the like button so that sort of YouTube knows that you love watching these kind of videos. Also, I'm not your financial advisor, so do not take any of this as financial advice. Do your own research and your own due diligence, and you'll be super happy with the result, because at the end of the day, no one is responsible for your success but yourself. Maybe you can get some ideas from here, but you've got to take them out and do your own research them yourself. So, just going back here, talking more about Mara, right? This is a company that you could have picked up some amazing deals sitting at $3 a share back in December, right? And don't forget, I always say this on the channel, do not believe these companies when they talk about how, Marathon or other stocks that are going down or maybe not a good investment. The reality is tons of these media companies love to get you to sell when things are down because their buddies, their institutions are shorting the companies. They're able to sort of get the stock down so much. So I'll tell you what happens, right? Stock sitting at like $50 or $90, let's say. A company will bet that stock will go down. They'll release a short report, or they'll get their media friends to, put out some news about how a stock is not a good investment. They will sell their shares, and when they go short, what happens is they are borrowing shares to sell. So the price of the stock goes down. People get worried and think there's some legitimacy to this, and you just see it sell, 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 sell. So you see like Marathon went from $90 to $3, right? It moved like an altcoin, it was not good. And once it hits the bottom, they want people to keep selling, just sell, 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 sell. And then they start getting a buy and they just ride it all the way up. This is why you see stocks go down, up, down, up, down, up. In the long term, the value of Marathon Digital Holdings stock is really tied to the value of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's value currently sits around 30,000 US dollar a token. And this is something I have a long-term bullish sentiment on. And I know I've been promising some Bitcoin videos. I promise I will get to that eventually. I will start doing some more Bitcoin coverage just on the side. I think it's very important because I think it ties very well into my investment approach on Marathon. But what they were saying on Seeking Alpha here is when Bitcoin's current price was low, Marathon was burning through its cash pile at an increasing rate. And they basically said their balance sheet was under siege. Obviously, some of these things are a little bit true, but very embellished, right? Like, yes, the cost to mine Bitcoin is very high in relative to your revenue when Bitcoin's not worth as much. But you're holding Bitcoin in your balance sheet because you believe in it long term. It's really like that long-term asset. Hey, Zellies, how's it going? BTC. I don't know what the dots are for. Can you imagine if there was an acronym that Bitcoin stood for? It'd be cool. Marathon incurred net losses of $75 million in fiscal year 22 third quarter. And not surprising, right? Crypto winter was longer, but we're starting to see crypto come out of that, right? The lowest Bitcoin was during the crypto winter was like 15K. We've seen zones at 25K get taken out. I think that is probably the last Bitcoin zone we can probably come back to before we take off. There's been a lot of sort of videos and sort of top of research on why that works. And if you look at the previous price trends, but yeah, just looking back to Mara, right? If you want a good place to sort of figure out your investment strategy, like you see here at 1649, today was not a bad buy with the Fibonacci level 0.272. But if we hit the 0.5 level or sort of the EMA level over here at 15.31, these aren't bad because typically you'll see a bounce on each of these lines as it goes down. And you know what I'm going to start doing? If we break 14.5, at this point, I'm going to start averaging down on Mara because, honestly, as it kept going up, the only thing I was telling myself was maybe I didn't buy enough. And I know it sounds ridiculous because Marathon is one of 3 speculative stocks I hold in my portfolio, right? As a reminder, Nano Dimensions, Zomedica, and Marathon Digital Holdings. And, Marathon is really just a way for me to invest in Bitcoin in my tax-free savings account, which is an account that Canadians are provided with, which, you do not get taxed on any investment revenue, right? Whereas every other account, like a cash account or a margin account, we would have to pay capital gains taxes on. So I think this is obviously a phenomenal, still think it's a sleeping giant. I wouldn't recommend sort of buying it at sort of the local highs, but I would definitely wait for it to come down a little bit more. Maybe if it breaks 14.5 or around that 14.5 range, you could add to your position. Otherwise, I'm just going to stand pat and sort of watch this rise. If we look at the Bitcoin price, right, we're sitting here and Bitcoin had a really big move in March. It went from 20,000 all the way up to 25K. We sort of traded the zone back and forth. And then in June, over the course of a few weeks, we went from 25K after consolidating all the way up to 31,000. We had the news for XRP last week. Those gains have really been taken out. We potentially could go back to 27,729. And then as a zone, I expect Bitcoin to come up to around 37K. I haven't drawn the line here. I have another chart, which I will show in another video, really explaining like where the liquidity zones are for Bitcoin. Did well today with MVST and is that Netflix? Like, sorry, like what is NFKX? Like, I know Netflix did very well today. Oh yeah, sorry. Here you have it. Netflix selling up Mara. Yeah, like honestly, like Mara is like almost like a leveraged Bitcoin stock. Like if Bitcoin doubles in price, I expect the price of Mara to 5x from here. And I expect us to see some incredible like 3-figure amount for Mara in the next bull cycle, right? Very high 3-figure amount. So, I'm telling you, this is one of those stocks. Like I said, this is my prediction, but this is one that I feel very confident in that I can come back to during the bull run and going, honestly, I wish I bought more Mara. I'm gonna quote myself from today saying, hey, I wish I did. But yeah, like you just want to be very like careful and sort of risk averse. But you see here at the low point in November, we hit like 15.5K. We really haven't come down, since the previous bull. But in a future video, I will show you the Bitcoin patterns of sort of like the bull and the bear cycles here, where like you have this huge run up, then it come, sort of divot, back run up, and then sort of pull down, and then like the next run up that we're getting ready for, right? So you see, we should expect at some point in the next like 18 months to sort of see like another run up here, potentially get to the, break that all-time high over here of like 69K and get to like, 80 to 100K US. Something I'm really looking forward to. And when that happens, the Mara stock will obviously be a very good beneficiary of it. So, one of the articles that came out, today, or I guess yesterday, now that it's midnight here in Toronto. And by the way, one of the things I'm trying to do this month is try to do a video every single day. So I just squeezed it in at 11:55 p.m. Eastern. So it says here, Marathon Digital Holdings is lower by Tuesday morning, with the stock declining about 1% pre-market to 1713. They talk about the short-term technical score. Marathon has risen 72.95% over the last month, closing at 1172 on June 20th. So it went from 1172 to almost $20. Now, the average analyst recommendation is buy. Now, one of the things you can look at is tip rank. So I have that sort of loaded here. I'm just going to refresh the page. You can see here their buys are on average $14, but the last times they've been reporting on it were months ago. So what will happen typically is a lot of these financial analysts, they're not accurate at all. They just look at how the market's been doing and go, oh, you know what? It went up a couple bucks. Let me up my price target. They have not given a price target in a while. So I expect when they do and when Mara gets a lot more coverage, and trust me, it will, you're going to start seeing these price targets go up, right? There's one on high, average 14 and low of 8. We're going to start seeing a ton more, and I expect them to be like way higher over the long term. But that's only going to happen when the Mara stock price goes up. So this is why I really don't like services like tip ranks. In my opinion, they don't really tell you anything, okay? So we went over this. We sort of went over, should you accumulate Mara? And then one of the last things, sometimes what I'll do is I'll go on StockTwits to sort of see what's going on, right? Like, is there anything that we should sort of be aware of? And, when you go on these sort of forums, people will always post either like hyper bullish or hyper bearish, right? Daniel Powerlift says like $22 end of week. Cloud 20, it's funny. Mara went down today, but the bears with their silky crystal ball seem to have vanished, at least for now. I think they can smell power brewing in Bitcoin and Mara, right? Bitcoin, ETH, and Mara, not worried at all. Yeah. So, some people are saying, what's your opinion on the share dilution on the 27th? There's no dilution, stop spreading FUD, and basically it's a vote to raise the share cap. Do some due diligence before spreading misleading BS moving forward. Yeah, the increase from 250 shares to 500 million. Is that considered dilution? Share cap, not shares, right? So yeah, one of the things that has to be very clear here is your voting to allow them to increase shares. They're not actually doing the share dilution. It's just giving the approval, right? So people need to understand that. I don't see why. Yeah, so like that's just a reality of it, right? This is what AMC did as well. It just gives you the opportunity so you don't have to wait. And I'll be honest with you, like a lot of this stuff here is super toxic, so I typically don't go on stock tweets because like you just have a bunch of people who are like, either somebody like is really invested in a stock or somebody's really against it. Sometimes you'll have people who missed out and sort of want to see other people fail. So like, oh, I hope this stock goes down so that this person loses all their money because I didn't get to make money. It really sucks because in investing, like a lot of people see this as like, well, if you win, it sort of takes away from my opportunity. And honestly, I think when you invest, you are actually finding a way to preserve the value of your purchasing power, right? Countries like the US especially are printing a ton of money, right? We saw this happen during the pandemic. I forget, it was like 20 or 30% of the money in circulation was printed in the last couple of years in the US. So if you aren't creating that value within the stock market or through appreciating assets, if you just have it in your bank account, you're actually losing money or you're losing purchasing power because that same dollar doesn't go as far, right? This is exactly what the inflationary problem was, right? But yeah, so like I hope that this sort of video helps. Like, I'm super bullish on Mara. Like read this hat, super bullish. And I really think that this company has the legs in the long term. Now, I bought option contracts, and what I will say here is I bought December 2025 LEAP contracts. I would never recommend anyone to buy a very short-term option contract because I just don't know what could happen, right? Anything can happen. You can have black swan events, and we've had a ton of those in crypto, right? You can have another FTX sort of scandal that brings everything in crypto in a drawdown. But remember, despite everything we've had Celsius shutdown, BlockFi shutdown, Gemini shutdown, we had FTX, we had the SEC, we've had tons of negative black swan events happen in crypto. And despite that, Bitcoin has gone up to 30,000 from, 20,000 at the time. So super bullish. I really think that the sort of Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency does fulfill a need in finance, right? Really allowing regular citizens to have transparent money that they could sort of interact with in the blockchain, sort of send money back and forth fully transparently and sort of, have full custodial rights of your money, which is high time that we have that. It's high time that we have access to our money and not sort of have it with a bank who can decide tomorrow that they can take it away from us for any sort of reason, right? There's tons of policies coming out, I'm sure you've seen, that can sort of restrict how much you can do with your own money. And this is after you get taxed and everything, right? So I think this is a fantastic move. Whether or not Bitcoin ends up being that crypto that everyone uses, or it just ends up being like replacing gold, right? Like sort of, I think this is a way better version of gold. Yet to be seen how all of this shakes out. But the SEC sort of that landmark case, fantastic move, sort of, legitimizing crypto a little further. BlackRock sort of investing and creating their own ETF here and filing for it. This is another monumental step. And I'm telling you, just like I look at that guy, there's a guy, Da Vinci or something. He made a video 10 plus years ago telling people to just put $1 in Bitcoin. And obviously now it goes to people's feeds and says, oh, like, we should buy $1. Suggested video by YouTube. Didn't show up when I really wanted it, where it was really effective. But I'm telling you, like, maybe we'll look back on this video like, 10, 20 years from now, or other videos around Bitcoin going, man, Bitcoin's worth millions of dollars. I wish I had a chance. I wish I was lucky enough to purchase it when it was $30,000 even, right? These are things that, could potentially happen, and they're not just a pipe dream, right? There's tons of pipe dreams you hear, like these really stupid stocks, there's really stupid meme companies. You expect people are always going to $1,000 a share and like have zero value proposition, zero adoption. Bitcoin's very different. And as such, I'm owning Bitcoin in a Ledger wallet, and I'm owning Mara, the best Bitcoin miner on the stock market. And there are other Bitcoin miners, right? There's Riot, there's Hut 8, there's CleanSpark, there's a couple more. my focus has been Mara because I just want to invest in the best company. And yeah, if you want, you can sort of like, hedge your bets and sort of invest in sort of that index or sort of that entire industry to make sure you have the coverage. Can't be bothered with it. I'm super bullish on Bitcoin, super bullish on Mara. I just want to thank you all for watching in today's video, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.